Thank you, fellow Zionists, for joining Jewish National Fund USA's weekly briefing. I am Saul Lizebrand, president of Jewish National Fund USA. It is day 306 of the war in Israel. Our first guest tonight is Jeff Adir. Jeff is co-founder and principal of JDI Realty, a small real estate firm that acquires a wide range of property types throughout the United States. He and his wife founded an independent high school for bright, college-bound students who learn differently. And 11 years ago, Jeff opened Milt's Barbecue for the Perplexed, a popular kosher barbecue near Wrigley Field. All profits from the restaurant were donated to charity. And a few years ago, Jeff sold the restaurant to his long-term employees for $1. In addition to all this, Jeff and his family completed phase 1 and 2 of the renovation of Kibbutz Kerem Shalom, a small kibbutz of both secular and religious Jews located on the border of Gaza. Since October 7th, Jeff has devoted much of his time supporting and planning for the rebuilding of Kibbutz Kerem Shalom, fighting anti-Semitism, and keeping attention focused on the hostages still held in Gaza. You might know about his digital advertising truck driving the streets of Chicago. Jeff is joined today by his good friend Jeremiah Smith. Born beyond the Jewish faith, Jeremiah developed close ties to the Jewish community at a young age when he was taken under the wing of his tutor, Marcy Goldberg, Hirsch Goldberg Poland's grandmother. Jeremiah became a part of the family and spent much of the time with Hirsch as a young boy. Jeff has known Jeremiah for years, and as Jeremiah was a truck driver, Jeff knew he was the perfect person to drive the truck. Smith drives around Chicago 12 hours a day, using the truck to fight anti-Semitism and advocate for his friend Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who was kidnapped by Hamas and is still one of the missing hostages. Jeff and Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Terrific. Thank you for having us. Would you like us to tell our story, or are you going to ask us questions?
Yeah, why don't you tell us your story? We're interested what Jeremiah has to say, what it's like driving the truck, what it means to him. We'd like to hear your stories.
Terrific, terrific. Jeremiah, why don't you start off and tell them a little bit about Marcy and Hirsch and your relationship?
Okay. Hello, I'm Jeremiah Smith. So when I was 6 years old, Marcy came into my school when I was in first grade, and she was basically coming to tutor me. And throughout the week, she'd come like 2 to 3 times out the week, every week when I was in first grade. And then I started going over to Shabbat dinners on Friday nights and spending the night and everything like that after a while. And she just adopted me into the family. And then that's when I met Hirsch, probably like a year later. I think he was about 2 years old and I was about 6. And we just instantly connected because I always wanted a little brother. And he was that to me, he still is. And I started living with Marcy when I was in seventh grade, and all the way up until I was out of high school, 18 years old. And she showed me everything about the Jewish community, all the blessings and everything like that. She almost sent me to a Jewish school, but I denied it. But she showed me a different life. She basically saved my life, because I was growing up in a hard neighborhood in Chicago called Cabrini Green. on the north side, and I saw it all over there. And once I was going to her house, it was like vacation, you know. Like I loved going to her house.
And with Hirsch and your trips to Israel, maybe
Oh
tell
yeah.
about.
So I've been to Israel 4 times. One of them was for Hirsch Bar Mitzvah. And there, I didn't know how to speak the language. So he was the big brother there, he showed me around. It was fun. I love going to Israel. Um, and with me and him, I'm a sports guy and he's not so good at sports, but he always tried it. But he's very good at, knowing what's going on in sports, around sports, basically. And we went to Passover camp together. He showed me everything there and everything like that. And yeah, we had a great relationship.
Let me chime in for a minute. So Marcy, Hirsch's grandmother, is a special lady. She had introduced me to Jeremiah when Jeremiah was 7 or 8 years old, and he's become my unadopted son. He's uh, he's become part of the family. I'm godparents to his daughter, and Jeremiah is actually getting married, and my son is in the wedding party in a couple of weeks. But in any case, Jeremiah, when when I told him about what happened to Hirsch, the first day that I had heard about it, right after October 7th, Jeremiah was obviously shaken and always wanted to know what he could do. And initially, my focus was, and I had worked with JNF on two major renovations of Kibbutz Keren Shalom from my first visit there was during Sukeitan, Operation Protective Edge in 2014. And once they had it's a secular kibbutz, but they invited a group of Orthodox members into the kibbutz. I really fell in love with the energy and with the hope of this community right on the border of Gaza. But figuring us Jews, we need to get along and to have the only kibbutz in the Otef Gaza region that is mixed secular and religious was really appealing to me. And so once 10/7 happened, I was actually on the phone with them as it was unfolding there, and I mobilized my friends, and we raised a lot of money for them and for Kibbutz Cholit, and I'm on the phone with them on a weekly basis, planning the rebuild and looking forward to a build back better kibbutz once this war is over. In the meantime, we all know what's been happening in Chicago and in the country as far as the anti-Semitism, as far as the hijacking on the narrative by and I refuse to call them progressive or the left. I just the illiberal people that are out there and don't seem to care about what happened on 10/7, don't seem to care about the hostages. And I'm just looking on a daily basis for different opportunities to stand up and say, 80% of the population supports Israel, and there's a vocal minority here, and we're not going to let them take over the narrative. And so I had said to Jeremiah, I'm thinking about buying this truck. Are you in? And Jeremiah was like, I'm in. And he had been working as a truck driver at the time, and so it was a natural. We actually now have two trucks, and so Jeremiah's best friend, Ladante, who also, knows Hirsch, said, I'll drive the other truck. So the two of them are out there and on a daily basis. And they are not only, bringing notice to and keeping the hostages in the forefront, but also anti-Semitism. And Jeremiah, why don't you tell them some of the stories about what you found when you're on the road, both the positive and negative reactions, and also our recent initiative where Jeremiah is 2 for 2 in helping defeat anti-Semitic, anti-Israel House of Representatives that have recently run. Why don't you tell?
So a few things that I went, negative, that I went through driving the truck. I got called a white supremacist twice, which is funny. And, I got a lot of people, saying, what are you doing this for? And, they threw stuff at the truck, give me the middle finger and everything like that. Few people said, you know who you are and stuff like that. And I try to talk to them, but, they never want to talk. It's just what's another I'm trying to think of another story. Last week somebody actually looked at the truck and showed me their butt, which is crazy. But I see a lot of positive now since the encampments and stuff is not up. But when the encampments was up, I tried to talk to them. I would sit out in front of the pole and everything like that. And, and explain why I'm doing this and everything like that. They just never wanted to talk. And
So tell them about your trip to New York and then your trip to St. Louis this week.
I went to New York. What was that, like a couple weeks ago?
A few weeks ago, yeah.
And what was his name?
You campaigned for George Latimer.
Yeah, I had campaigned for George Latimer for a whole week, driving around New York and everything like that. And that was amazing. I had a few people, offer me money and say, you should vote for the other guy.
I told Jeremiah, take the money and
yeah. This in St. Louis was really kind of smooth, I ran into just a few people, that was voting for the other person.
For Cory Bush.
But not that many people. A lot of I ran into 3 people that said, you voting for the right guy, basically. And that's it.
So Jeremiah's 2 for 2 right now in defeating the squad members.
Yeah.
We're going for 3 when next, I think on Sunday, Jeremiah's leaving to go up to Minneapolis to go campaign against Ilhan Omar. That one's a longer shot, but the guy's got a good record so far, Jeremiah. Yeah. So we're hoping he goes 3 for 3. But in general, we're trying to find every way we can at making sure that nobody forgets about the hostages. One thing that I should mention is an upcoming initiative, as I'm sure all of you know, that in 2 weeks from now, the Democratic Convention is coming to Chicago. And there is a huge pro-Palestinian rally scheduled, but the city has not granted any permit for a pro-Israel rally. And so what we're doing is 2 fronts. Jeremiah and Ladante are going to be driving the trucks around all of the hotels where the people are staying for the convention. And I am setting up a hostage square. I have a 15,000 square foot piece of land that's directly on the route from downtown to the United Center, where the convention will primarily be held. And I have 6 artists coming in from Israel. Well, I'm sorry, 3 from Israel, 3 from various places in the United States. And they are each putting together an installation that deals with 10/7, the hostages, anti-Semitism, and something that is all near to them. So that will be and I've already seen what they're going to be creating. It will be incredible. Additionally, we're going to have the set Shabbat table for all the hostages. We have 10-foot tall milk cartons with the faces of all the hostages that are being created right now, and they will be brought to the site. We have a dozen other initiatives that this site will create. It's on private property. The city does not want us to do anything, and that's their opinion, and we think that the narrative should be different. Ours is going to be very much about peace, about the release of the hostages, about pride in Israel and our brothers and sisters there, proud to be American. I mean, all of these things, which is the antithesis of what these demonstrations on the other side are espousing. And so we're going to be loud and proud. We have been very careful, and we've had to change our plans a little bit because obviously the security risks are huge. But we will, we have plenty of security. The police are aware of it. The city has not been able to shut us down, and we're going to present our narrative.
So, Jeff, first, and Jeremiah, thank you for joining us today. But do you have a picture of the truck that you could you have handy that you could hold up?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Matter of fact, we have if anybody's on Instagram, it is the Instagram, what's it called?
Bring them home truck.
Bring Them Home truck.
Oh, great.
I see Robin just put it on, so you can see pictures. Jeremiah's had pictures taken with all sorts of people along the road. Also, the messaging that we've used in both of the campaigns. We go online, and we don't work with any campaign because there's all sorts of restrictions that come with that. So we're all on our own, and we create our own imaging and messaging that we think that for the campaigns, it is not a pro-Israel message. It is a message that will resonate with the voters as to why Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman were not people that they wanted representing them.
So, Jeremiah, mazel tov on your marriage.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And your story, it could be a movie. I think it could really be a movie, and maybe Denzel Washington will play you one day. So
in his dreams.
yeah, we'll look for that. But since you said you're a sports fan, we think JNF thinks that you're the Super Bowl champion of anti-Semitism. So Jeremiah and Jeff, thanks so much for what you do. I hope we can get you back again to give us updates periodically, and maybe we'll see you at our JNF conference in Dallas. But we really appreciate you being with us today.
Well, happy to be here, and thank you for all you're doing.
Our pleasure. So thanks again. Our next guest today is Gaylee Schif. Gaylee serves as our liaison for LOTEM, making Israel accessible. As many of you know, Jewish National Fund USA leads the way in making all of Israel accessible for people with disabilities. It is something we care deeply about, and through LOTEM, we are empowering children and adults with disabilities across Israel to experience nature and the outdoors. Gaylee, thank you for joining us again and updating us on your work. Now that we're 306 days into the war. So Gaylee?
Toda rabba. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. These are crazy days in Israel. For everyone that's asking, the answer, we're waiting. This is the status, and the anticipation is very, very hard. I thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you the challenges that we have in dealing with different aspects of mental resilience in today's Israel. I'm Gaylee, I'm Israeli. I represent LOTEM, making Israel accessible. My organization has been operating in Israel for over 30 years in the field of accessibility and working with disabilities. And today I want to talk about our work with the evacuees and with the people who were injured in the war in terms of mental resilience, which is the focus of what we do today. But before I review the map of needs, I want to tell you, thank you so much. One of the things that really help us in dealing and coping is your involvement, your endless support, your caring, the things that you do, like Jeff and Jeremiah. It's just unbelievable. You know, when someone is in a crisis, the first thing that you look for to see how the chances that they have to get out of this crisis, to see their support system. And your JNF is giving us such an amazing support system, and I really, really thank you for that. So we're in trauma, and that is a very general saying, but it's also very personal. The first months after October 7, I was in a very different mental status. I was here on this briefing that was called the daily briefing at the time, and I was like a different person, different energy, different vitality, different abilities. I was so traumatized. It just surrounded me from everywhere. 25 kids from my community were at the Nova Festival party. One of them was murdered. Another one was kidnapped and then released at the first deal. 6 boys from my community were killed in Gaza. One of them, son of very good friends of mine. My 2 brothers went to fight. My youngest brother is a tank commander, was in Gaza for 140 days. My other brother is 44 years. He has 4 children of his own. He just finished a service of 1 month in Gaza. I have friends there. I have friends from JNF. I have Ido and Lavi and Yoel who were there. It's hard. My husband is a 3-star commander. He's the chief of the investigation department in Israeli police. On October 7, he was assigned to be the head of the Center of Identification of all the casualties of October 7. I can't start telling you what kind of job it is and how difficult it was. With everything that you know about the horrors of October 7, there are so many things that the public doesn't know, and it's probably for the best. I can tell you that the last person that was identified from October 7 was identified yesterday. So it just goes to tell you how difficult it is. So Israel is a country in trauma. It's a trauma that started on October 7, going on with the war, and above all, the hostages, the kidnaps. It's every second of every moment in our lives. We are a small country. The encounter of every person with someone who was hit and hurt is inevitable. It's an ongoing national trauma. So because of that, we don't have empirical tools to assess the situation of the population. Every survey that we will do to try to understand the level of suffering or trauma will lose its credibility at the same speed as the changing of our reality. There are researchers that are talking about 60,000 people who will need mental assistance in the coming years. There are researchers that anticipate 1 million people. I can tell you that over the years in the United States, after the 9/11 terror attack, there were 80,000 people who sought and got mental assistance. So just have the proportion when everyone in Israel was immediately and personally affected by that. But what's important also to say is two things, and these are the keys for our success, the keys for us coming out of it and rebuilding ourselves. First of all, the Jewish people in general and the Israeli people specifically are very strong people. We have strong spirit. The natural evolution created us this way, and the history of our people is rooted inside of us very much. We know that we are able to defend ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to cure ourselves. Our national messages always talk about the strengths that we have, our abilities. And when a person believes in themselves, they have the power to come through and get out of difficult situations. The second thing is, and that it relates to my job, is the importance of giving immediate response. This is what prevents the development of post-trauma that will accompany a person for years. The sooner we give those people who start developing signs of traumatic post-trauma, we will reduce the dealing and making it more complex in their lives. Gary, I would like to show my presentation if I can. So with JNF, we are operating a few programs to deal with post-trauma. I want to share with you some of them. Let's see that okay. So after October 7, our team went to the hotels and stayed there for 4 months. 22 soldiers plus professional team members were spread over 24 hotels and treated 15,000 children, 5,000 of them with special needs. Since March, Emek HaShalom, our center in the north of Israel, is operating as a resilience center, taking in evacuees from the north, from the south. Every day we have groups of children, adults from the kibbutzim, from the moshavim coming to us. We have a program called Healing in Nature. We take groups of evacuees or communities that were hit from the war and from October 7th to retreats of healing in nature, where they go through different workshops and nature therapy. I'll show you a small bit of it.
היה לנו אתמול ערב של שירה בציבור, פעילויות יצירה לילדים, היום אנחנו במשחקי אודיטי. סוג של תרפיה. כן, זה תרפיה.
זה ממש כיף לי להעביר סדנאות כאלה שאני מרגישה שאני כמו אוויר לנשימה. ממש רואים את...
We operate a program, called Moving Forward, for soldiers that were injured in battle and also have post-trauma. Those retreats of us became very, very popular and very needed. We take men, we take women, soldiers that were wounded, and the waiting list for those are very, very long. You have the opportunity to be part of it, to take part of these beautiful programs moving forward and healing in nature and help those people. I thank you for listening. We will prevail, and with your support, we will rebuild our national resilience. Thank you.
So, Gaylee, you know, we've known you for a long time. This is probably the toughest time that you've had to go through since your affiliation with Jewish National Fund USA, but you're stepping up to the plate. You had sad words, but you also had very inspiring words. And all we could do is thank you for everything that you do. It's remarkable, and how you'll affect these adults and children for the rest of their lives. So we thank you so much for being part of JNF-USA and everything that LOTEM does. So And we hope to see you in person soon, Gaylee. So we'll try to plan on that. To learn more about the impact you're having on the ground, visit jnf.org/support Israel. As always, we encourage you to travel to Israel with us on a volunteer working mission. We continue to sell out these missions and have just extended these missions once again now through February of next year. Visit jnf.org/volunteer-IL to learn more and register. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of the October 7th massacre, Jewish National Fund USA invites you to join us for a special solidarity mission. Pay respects to those who were murdered, support the hostage families, and hear stories from the people who remain evacuated from their communities. We will be in Israel October 6th through the 9th to stand shoulder to shoulder with our family in Israel to support them as we mark this solemn occasion and reiterate our commitment that JNF-USA was there yesterday, we're here today, and we will be there tomorrow. Finally, take a moment to sign up for our global conference for Israel happening in Dallas, Texas, November 14th through the 17th. Join the over 1,200 people who have already registered for the largest Zionist gathering in the United States. We'll see you next Wednesday, August 14th, at the same time.